When I first started this, I don't know if you guys remember me saying that you need two things. You need the patience of an old guy and the strength of a young guy. Well, last night I found out that I'm losing one of those. Went to set it down off of that table onto the floor, but I wanted to stand it up on that end so I could do some work over here on this final drive. And I had my wife out here with me just in case anything happened. She wanted to try to help me lift it. I said, no, I got it, because I needed to balance it. I set it down on a folded up beach towel, so that way, you know, I didn't put direct pressure on the concrete with that end. And when I went to stand it upright, that base slid, and when that slid, I went head over heels. My wife caught me with my face. So we won't show this on camera, but basically what I do is I'll set this housing over here on this 1x4 or this piece of wood, and then we'll spray that down with brake clean. Once we get it all sprayed out, then I'll bring it over to this towel over here, and once it's dry, we'll just kind of spray it up a little bit with WD-40, because that brake clean really strips it down, and I don't want to let that raw metal strip down like that. So we'll pick that up, take it over there, wash it, make sure that all of the inside residual is out of it, bring it over here, spray it down with some WD-40 on the inside, and continue doing that with all these parts. Once we get all these parts transferred over there, maybe I'll throw you guys on time lapse and kind of show you how I put this thing back together. We would have had the other final drive on here, but we had a little accident. The bearing got high-sided on this side here, and instead of pressing the gear onto the shaft, we actually pressed this bearing, which I'm thinking that you can see how it's messed up right here. We ended up pressing this bearing up against this surface, and we didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. And we fractured the final drive housing. It's fractured all the way through here, and then over in this area where it actually pushed it down, it's fractured on the inside here. So I am currently on eBay as well as a couple of other sites. The part number is 350806, and the R kind of looked like a 4, but it looks like it was grounded off. So I'm not sure if that's an R1, R2, R3, R4. But yeah, we're looking for another final drive. Looking on the internet, we found some that have a higher ridge in this area. This doesn't have a real high ridge. It has a little ridge here, right there, and a ridge here and a ridge there, but they're not real defined. So I want to find a drive that looks similar. So we've kind of put this aside. We put it with the rest of all of the parts. And then we came over and, did I tell you Pop-Up Gringo's in the house? Yeah, we tore the transmission tube off. And when we looked inside of it, I'm pretty sure we have a bunch of snake skins in there. That's the only thing I can figure out what that is. I think they're snake skins, which makes sense. There's a great big hole right there. They can climb in and out as they wanted. So now there's the bottom of the what do they call this, Dad? The clutch cover. That's a clutch cover. The bolts come over here, and here is the motor. And of course, that's where that transmission tube came off of. Hey, if you guys know how to tell if a clutch has plenty of wear left in it, I'm thinking that is probably, let me click this screen. I'm thinking that plate right there is the clutch plate, but I don't know how to tell if that's good or not. So if you guys could tell me how to tell if that clutch is good. But that's the motor. We're making a little bit of progress and going backwards at the same time. Here we go. We got the clutch lever pulled out, which was hooked up to the throwout bearing, and the throwout bearing has quite a bit of wear on it. I don't know if I need to replace that or not sure. But yeah, all the parts that were here, this is the shaft that was operated by the clutch. And so now we're gonna hand this camera off to Pop-Up Gringo. We're gonna stand this thing up on its end this way, because we have all this stuff in there. I don't know what all's in there, but a flashlight wasn't getting it. There's a little piece of it. So now we're gonna hand this over to Pop-Up Gringo. He's gonna be the cameraman for a couple minutes, and we're gonna show you what comes out of this thing as it comes out. So we'll flip it up, flip it back down, and then we'll go through it. Now, no snake skins. Well, I don't know. Let's... Mouse nest, maybe? Mouse nest and snake skin. There's snake skin right there.
Yep.
There's more snake skin. And a cigarette butt. Somebody was smoking in there. So we got snake skin, mouse house, and some seeds or something in there. Well, time to get her cleaned up. All right, guys, we're putting a little bit of time in on the transmission housing. We really didn't do anything to it yet except for scrape some of the grease out of the middle of it. But yeah, we sandblasted all this stuff down to bare metal and threw a coat of primer on it. That's the clutch rod, that's the clutch adjuster, and the clutch pedal itself, and the spring to bring that back. But I wanted to show you this. When it comes to metal, I just can't find myself throwing any metal away. I saved this. Thank you, James Taylor. You hooked me up with this a while back, and it was the whole thing, but we just saved this. And now we're going to repurpose it, because this is the clutch inspection plate, and I think we're going to cut that out of this, since this is so beat up, rather than try to get this straightened out. And it looks like, I don't know, it just needs to be replaced. So we're going to repurpose this for that plate right there. That ain't bad for a redneck with a freaking grinder. Shit. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit of work on that. That'll look just like that. All right, guys, there you have it. That's how you take a power washer handle and turn it into a clutch inspection cover for your Farmall Cub. Well, let's take a look at her before she goes to the sandblaster. You know, when I was in the Navy, I knew that bosun's mates were called paint scrapers, but I've never had to scrape any paint. I worked on FA-18s. But tonight, after we threw this in that sandblaster, I'm sure you guys could see that sandblaster didn't like that one layer of paint. It's the redder of the two. There's a maroon and a red. It didn't like that red paint. So we pulled it back out of there, and now we're scraping it.
$346 later.
Well, there you go, guys. I just gave you a little insight on what you don't usually see and what I put into these things. Just showed you a little portion of it. But one thing I want to bring to everybody's attention, if you're going to restore a tractor, do it like this. You know, give that tractor some life. This thing here had probably 11 layers of paint on the top and had 2 layers of paint on the bottom. You know, no big deal. It's part of what people can do. If you can't do it like this, do it like you can. Anything's better than nothing. But Steve Klein, I'm pretty sure you know what it takes to take a tractor apart like this. If you guys haven't been over to Steve Klein's channel, it's been a little while, but he restored a BN, a Farmall BN, and that thing is absolutely gorgeous. So if you get a chance, stop over there. Steve Klein, I'll put a link down in the description to his YouTube channel. But yeah, I literally went through like 3 layers of paint, hit a layer of primer, went through 2 more layers of paint, hit more primer. So that's why I figured I'll just go ahead and eat it off with that wire wheel. I'm only using that air compressor, and that air compressor is not designed to run a sandblaster like this. It takes a lot of CFM, cubic feet per minute of air. I think this thing puts out 9 CFM at 90 PSI. This thing needs about 160 CFM to really get the job done. So I have a limited air supply. That's why I figured I'd just go ahead and eat it off with that wire wheel. That way when I stick it back in there, when I pull this thing out of there, it's going to look a lot different because the wire wheel puts a shine on it. That shine's not good if you're going to prime this thing and paint it. After you get done sandblasting it, it's almost like that metal's going, paint me, because that paint just adheres to it so much nicer. So if you guys have the ability, man, don't just put a top coat of paint on a tractor to make it look like it's something. Take that sucker apart. Do it like we're doing it here. Sandblast it if you have the ability to. Prime it up, paint it up, get it so it's going to last for years and years after you're done with it. All right, guys, here's this transmission. This is after the second go around in the sandblaster. I don't know how this is going to show up, but you can actually see how thick that paint is. And I've been sandblasting on that for a little while now. So yeah, the spots that are real thick, it's easier just to pull it right back out, hit it with that scraper best I can, and then put it back in and sandblast it again. So now we'll just scrape on this a little bit, put it back in, blast it again. We are ready for the next step. That step is to get this transmission tube primed up. We are to bare metal, and here we go. We're going to prime it up. You know, I keep forgetting to fire this GoPro up when I'm in the middle of doing something here. So we're getting ready to put the transmission tube onto the transmission, and I'll throw you guys over here and let you watch me struggle through this. Here we go. Well, that wasn't terrible. Getting that shaft to line up with that throwout bearing was a little bit of a task as far as getting everything leveled out. But it lined up pretty good just the way I had it on that floor jack. And yeah, so we're off to the next adventure. I'm not sure what that is yet. We have a whole shelf full of parts that could probably start going back together.